Thanks to Incipio for sponsoring a portion of this video. So Apple just went far out. They called their event. They announced the iPhone 14s, iPhone 14 Pros, Apple Watch Ultra, Apple Watch Series 8, new AirPods Pro. There was a lot, and even some surprises, which has become kind of rare for Apple. But there is still a lot of things coming from Apple before the end of the year. So I figure while everybody else is talking iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14, here's everything that Apple didn't announce at their event. All right, so let's start on the low end of Apple products. It's interesting, this might be the first iPad to embrace the landscape FaceTime camera, which presumably will make its way to all of the iPad lineup. And speaking of all of the iPad lineup, I would temper expectations for the current gen iPad Pro. Get updated processor, obviously. I know a lot of people were hoping, crossing fingers for Mini LED to make its way to the 11-inch iPad. That ain't happening. But if you're excited about pin connectors, you're gonna be getting a few more with 4 for better accessories. That's about it. I think that's kind of lame sauce. But also new laptops are coming. So I think the MacBook Pro, the current gen, are nearly perfect. So at most, we're expecting a processor bump with the M2 Pro and Max. I love Apple's current line of laptops. I think the current MacBook Air is almost the world's most perfect computer. If it had an SD card slot, that would be what I would use absolutely every single day. Going over to the MacBook Pro, there is very little that I would change about this machine. In fact, I think it is so fast, it probably doesn't even need a processor update. But if you are doing a bunch of pro things, and nice to have extra speed for exports, renders, or 3Ds, but I think that's a very small subset of people. I think if there was any product that Apple could take a year off and just chill and focus on what's coming next, it's the current gen Mac Pros, but it looks to really only be processors and presumably battery life to go along with that. There's been like weird rumors about the Mac Mini. It lives in limbo. Has it been replaced by the Studio? Is it going to get new life? We've heard rumors for a while of a Pro version of the Mini, which to my mind just seems like the Studio, but there's been a lot of smoke with Apple actually re-releasing the Mini with a new design and updated specs. But if there's anything on this list to not hold your breath for, it's definitely that. On the Mac Pro side, it's been waiting a while. I host a podcast with Andrew Edwards, who I believe is rocking like an $80,000 Mac Pro. It's an insane computer, which is only slightly faster than a fully spec'd out MacBook Pro, which is absolutely nuts. And this is gonna be the last computer to get the Apple Silicon treatment. So I'd expect an M2 Extreme chip that is above the Ultra. Probably 2 or 4 Ultras will probably be combined to make this thing. I don't know what they're gonna do for existing Mac Pro owners. They're gonna be able to sort of modularize it and let you put in Apple Silicon. I can't see that happening. I imagine it's going to be a larger version of the Mac Studio that we've got right now, but this is a giant question mark. And Apple's been waiting a long time to make this transition over to the Mac Pro. I think they're gonna isolate and piss off a lot of people with the new Mac Pro. There's nothing they could do about it. But I would expect modular design, just beastly processor, and expect it to cost probably a fraction of what the Mac Pros currently go for. But also, we probably won't see this one until like mid to end next year. So that's like more imminent stuff, but like let's play the long game. I think saying AR VR glasses are coming is a true factual statement, but who knows when. We talked about them ad nauseum. At some point, you'll be wearing Apple on your face. Updated HomePod with a display. Still a chance we might see this year, but that seems probably like a mid next year thing. Updated Apple TV. It's coming at some point. I'd imagine if not this year, it's gonna be holidays of next year. Update to the AirPods Max. They've been kicking around for a while, even getting some pretty big discounts on them. I'd expect new improvements, new processor, new colors, and even rumors of sort of a sport version that's less expensive. But that is still yet to be seen. So we know what Apple didn't announce. One thing they did announce was that the iPhone 14 line is more durable. And I don't care how many times they tell you how strong the glass is. When glass meets concrete, it is not going to work out well for the glass. You are best to protect your phone to keep your investments safe, but also so you don't walk around with a busted screen. And the best way to do that is with the Aero Grip from Incipio. You guys know Incipio, they've been around for years. I think actually one of the first videos that I ever did on the channel was on an Incipio case. We got some history, and they've gotten better and better over the years to where we are right now. is like perfect case protection. So here's what the Aero Grip is going to get you, the things that you would expect. You're gonna get 16 feet of drop tested protection. You're also getting it built for MagSafe. All of your MagSafe accessories will still work. You're also getting molecular recycled materials. You're getting protection for your cameras as well, which is awesome. You're getting 2 times camera lens drop protection. So while it can't fly, the new Aero Grip case has raised exterior leverage wings that were inspired by airplane and wing design. My second favorite is the Duo case, which appropriately named features a dual layer design and Scipio's impact strut tech for 12 feet drop protection. If you want to order one of the Aero Grip cases, I'll put the links down below, but if you want it right now, it's actually available exclusively in Verizon stores. All right, so that is what Apple didn't announce, but a quick recap of what they did. We got an iPhone 14, big surprise there. Gone is the mini size. We now have a giant 6.7 inch, which Apple is calling the 14 Plus, essentially the same phones, slightly bigger battery, and of course, bigger screen from 6.1 to 6.7. And Apple hyped up the processor in this. You would think it was the greatest thing ever. Turns out it's just the chip that was in the 13 Pro phones, and only Apple could make people excited about last year's chip, make it seem like they're doing some giant favor there. On the Pro side, I think is where we saw the biggest updates and the biggest changes. New purple color, which I guess is awesome. But the big change is what they're calling Dynamic Island. We've been hearing for a while that Face ID was going to be moved to this weird pill cutout. We honestly all thought that was just going to be it. There was a last second rumor that was going to extend all the way across, but that was where it ended. I don't think anybody saw that thing becoming dynamic and being used for notifications, being used for phone calls, being another interactive surface on your phone. I thought that was really cool, and I think it's definitely going to be the killer feature on the 14 Pros. Other stuff we got, finally, always on display, kind of getting a closer to feature parity with Android built in. Cameras, we saw an improvement up to 48 megapixel on the Pro, which was long overdue. I'm still waiting for periscope camera. I'm still waiting for 8K video recording. This is a really nice upgrade, but not sort of a huge one that we've been waiting for. We also saw a giant change to Apple Watch. Well, not really Apple Watch Series 8, which is essentially what we had last year, but now with temperature sensor and crash detection. Apple Watch Ultra. This is what we thought was going to be called the Apple Watch Pro. This is a chunky boy. It's got better water resistance for scuba diving. It's got a new dynamic button you can program to do a bunch of stuff. For me, it's probably going to be order dinner. It'll be awesome to have more rugged features built in and flat screen. Also, kind of the first real redesign of the Apple Watch that we've had before. And the last thing we got was new AirPods Pro. They look the same. They've been updated with the H2 processor. We now have better spatial audio. We've got some speakers built in for improvements for Find My. The other things we'd expect, the speaker built into the case, and a little hole for a lanyard if that is your jam. Both phones now, at least in the US, no longer have physical SIM trays. International versions will have them, so eSIM only. I think it's going to be a disaster trying to activate these phones on launch day, but fingers crossed. There's also satellite connectivity built in here. You're going to get 2 years free. We don't know how it's going to work after that or what it's going to cost, but let you essentially send SOS messages that something has happened. It's not for having full phone calls or texting your friend that you climbed a mountain. But it is nice to have another option for redundancy for personal security. Apple's pipeline is like busting at the seams. A lot of stuff still coming this year, and then just kind of some fun forward looking into 23 and beyond. Is there anything that you're excited about most? I really want to see what Apple does with AR, VR, and see if they can sell it to me and sell it to you guys as something that we absolutely need and have to have. But until then, you got to look forward to very small updates to pretty much everything else. But hopefully, having new stuff on your iPhone will make up for that.